This is Android Studio, and using Kotlin and a bit of Java, I created a memory game or a matching game. Let me demo it, and then we're going to build it together step by step. This is a really great beginner's project. It's really great if you're just getting to know Android Studio. All right, let's test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and, ooh, a koala and a monkey. So I picked two, right? And now I cannot pick another or turn over another token because you can only, well, turn over two in a turn in memory. At least how I played growing up. All right, no match. Oh, I hope this doesn't take me too long. I already clicked that one, didn't I? Oh, was it up here? No, it wasn't. And now? And these now are locked. I can't even turn them over if I want because we found them. That's a match. All right, let's keep going. I keep turning that one over. Is it over here? Ooh, we got two, or I did. And notice when I have one turned over, now two, I can't. I've shown you that, but let me turn back one over. I still can't. I have to flip them both back over. Ooh, we're getting there. All right, I think you get the point. Simple memory game. It's going to be a great coding exercise. So let's go ahead and I'm going to start a new project. File, new project. And we want, we'll just do a basic activity. Next. And I'm going to be creative with my name. That's not true. Memory game. Oof. I always worry about spaces. I'm going to name this the old school way. Okay, a memory game. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then make sure this is Kotlin. We're going to do some with Kotlin. And then, yep, that is great. I'm going to go ahead and click finish. And depending on the speed of your computer and mine, this will take a minute to build. Well, this looks promising. Okay, before we can really dive into the coding of the application, we need to set up the content. So to do that, I am in main content. And if for some reason yours is not, it's under layout. So double click on that, and I'm in the text mode right now, which is great because we're going to do a bit in text and then we're going to move into, well, we'll switch back and forth. First, I'm going to want to get, and I will post below in the description, the images or the icons that I used for the matching game. They are from Wikimedia Commons, so I'll post that link as well. I think I have it up still. Yep, here we are. So you could even choose some of your own, but I'll post a download to the ones that I used. So there they are. So let's go ahead and import that. To do that, once you have your own, once you've downloaded it from the description, you would just open wherever your files are. I kept mine in this memory icons folder handy, and I'm just going to copy, right? So I highlight them all and then right click, copy, or Control C, or on a Mac it's Command C. And then I need to go to drawable, and here I'm just going to right click and then click paste. And this is fine, whatever that says, and great. And there we are. We now have some animal icons for our game. All right, that being said, I need a, it might be easier to do this in design. Let's flip that down. This I'm going to take off of here because we will be using that actually. And I was just going to say memory for the title. So right now we're just starting with kind of the setup type stuff. I remember I picked a rather large font size. I think I originally, I'm gonna try 50 for SP. And we'll go back and fix this up a bit later on, but I'm just getting the basics set up for us. And now we need a button, so I'm grabbing one from over here because the icons are actually buttons. So there's a button, and then what we're going to do with this is grab that, and then we're going to grab a couple of them real quick, and then we'll set them up all together. Ooh, that was frightening. And there. Okay. And what we want to do with these is, I already did one constraint. I grabbed and dragged it to the side, And then we're actually going to constrain it to the top text as well. Okay. And this same, except this side, top text, and then this, except also here and here. And that should center it up for us. Great. So, and then I'm going to have it be pushed down a little bit here at the top. So maybe a margin of like 14. Something more like that. Give the title a little bit of breathing room. All right, so that's looking good. Now, you might be wondering, but the images. Yes, the images. All right, to do this, I'm gonna actually first get rid of this, and then, because we won't need that, I got rid of text, and now I'm gonna go down to background, and I'm gonna click on that. Oops, and I'm gonna click on this. All right, I'm just gonna write it in. Mine's not being nice. So, what is this gonna be called? Well, if I want to use an image, this would be drawable, right here, at drawable/camel. I'm gonna actually use the code image for the back of all of the cards, like I did in another game. I thought it was appropriate since we are undertaking a coding challenge. So drawable/code. And hopefully, there we are. So obviously we're going to need to adjust the size a bit. And then here as well, at drawable, and now it's popping up. That one. And, okay, the sizing. I definitely do not want them this large. We could just grab and shrink for now. And then we'll adjust that to the correct size in a sec. Oh, I got it pretty close. They should be 120. All right. And then finally, this guy and all right, let's go. We're going to go into the scary text view, but it's not so scary, I promise. And the great thing about this project is there can be a lot of copy and pasting of the initial setup because we need a lot of, well, buttons. So all of the buttons are going to be 120. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to copy and I'm going to paste it on each of these to get them resized. 120 dp. So all of them will be the same size. Oop, we can't see all this code. I hate when they do that. Oh, that's my right there. I don't want wrap content. I want 120. Okay, now this is looking good. Where does it control our text? Because we don't need that default text there. Let's just get rid of the default text on the button. So, button, ID is fine, text, goodbye. ID is fine, text, goodbye. All right, and now, nope. And now I'm headed back to text. Okay, so we have 3 and we do want 12. So what I am going to do is just highlight all of this, and you could either hit Control C or you could right click and hit copy. And then underneath it, make sure you're above this though. I'm going to right click and, well, I'm going to hit paste. I know, riveting. Okay, and so that's now 6. So I'm going to start chaining up these numbers. So 3, and this button is now 4. This button would then be 5, and then this button is now 6. And then for where they connect, for where their constraints lie, if you look, if this one originally was connecting to button 1, well, the new button 1 is going to be button 4. So I can go ahead and change that one up to 4. If this was 3, the new button 3 is button 6 on the bottom line. And text view is just going to be the button above it, and the button above this one is button 2. That is promising. And now so that's button 5. Button 4 is text view. Nope, we want button 4 to be button 1. Whoa. Oops. Let's undo this. Constraint top of bottom. Okay. Button 4 is your ID. Oh, button, that's going to mess me up. The first button is just named button, and I do not want that, because I will mess that up. Button 1. Aha. This makes sense now. Okay, and then let's go ahead and shift down. We got button 6 here, so button 6, though, it needs to be tied not to text view, but to button 3 and the side, and then we are good. So now we got a second row, and I'm going to do the exact same process here. I'm going to speed this up a bit for this. So I'm just increasing all these, right? So button 7, and now I don't want button 1 anymore. I want button 4, because we need this down the line. And then that should be all tied together. Excellent. And now we actually just have, I don't think I need to copy it again. It should already be on the clipboard. One more row. So, and now 9, so 10, 11, and 12. Okay, and then we just want to fix these guys. So instead of button 3, well, since I used my old stuff, we're way down here. So I don't want button 3. Instead, I would want button 9. And button 4. This is the center one, so instead I would want button 10 and button 12. And then button, what would be above it would be 8. And now you don't want to be with 1, you would want to be with 7. And let's see. Perfect. And we have the initial setup ready to go. So that is great. Let's go ahead. Actually, what's this guy doing? We won't need the male one. I forgot about that. Here we are. Is that you? There we are. Content main is where we need to go. And I'm actually going to just click on this and hit delete. And because we won't need that. Alright. So we have the basic setup of the game. Great. And now let's head over to starting to write the program. Okay. So we're not going to need most of this. So I'm going to, kill off most of it. What we need, let's see. Get rid of all of that. Goodbye. And then we will use the onCreate, so goodbye to that. And there we are. That's a bit better already. Now, there's a process in doing this that we will be using an array to store the list of images, a mutable list, if you will, because that's what it is. And the reason we're doing that is, one, so we can easily shuffle the images to be on different icons during each play. And two, so we can stay aware of what images are actually where. Because it's fairly complicated, certainly for beginners, from a beginner's perspective, to grab an image or to grab the image from a button and know what it is and compare it to others. So we're going to keep this more straightforward since we're just getting started with this. So in order to do this, like I said, I'm going to start with my array, and I'm just going to make an array. And to do that, I'm going to use VAL and images. And it might even tell me, let's see. Oh, it's going to... It's not, but regardless, images, and then a mutable list, and you want int in here. You might be thinking, but it's integers, right? It is based on location. So, and now, what goes in this? First mutable again, list of, and it does pop up suggestions, which is helpful. And then I'm just going to be putting the animal names. So I should no longer have to put, it's going to tell me something here. Unresolved reference. What do we got going on? So let's check imports. And here's the issue. Okay, I was just hoping it was there by magic. So we could, for camel, always do r.drawable.camel or whatever image we want, okay? And then we would have to do this repeatedly in every single, what else do we got over here? Lion, whatever. So this is a bit tedious, and here we are. That's what I was about to show. So add an import. Add an import from, and that should pop up here. So observe, and it shouldn't just do lion. I'm actually going to get rid of lion, and if I do a star here, we should be... Oops, I got rid of the dot. And business. There we are. And now, we don't need to use those long references. It knows what we mean. So, I'm going to actually go in alphabetical order like they're listed over here because I'm a crazy person. Alright, koala, code. Oop, I don't need code because code's the default. Fox, lion, monkey, and wolf. And what did I miss? Are we good? Okay. And it's grumpy that we haven't used it yet. Oh well. So, now what we want is to create an array of buttons. And again, this is to make it easier for us to track what is going on in the app without having to dive too deep into using Kotlin with it. We're just getting our feet wet with Android Studio. So again, let's see, vol button, and then equals and array of for this one. And then we're just going to list out, and you can see, there they are. Button 1, button 2, button 3. Oops, I'm about to go off because my font size is like 22, so y'all can see well. Drives me nuts when I can't see what people are doing when I'm watching a tutorial. 12. Alright, so there are the 12 buttons, or the 12 spaces that we're going to be using, the 12 cards. Let's get some extra space too. Alright, and now, well, let's go ahead and dive into how this is going to work. First off, we want to make sure that when we push these images of the animals out to the buttons, they are not always in the same spot. How we can make sure that happens is images.shuffle. Okay? And now this will randomize the placement within the array of our images. It's super handy actually. And then what do we want? We want to make sure we are going to use a for loop, and for loops are a bit different. So these for loops took me some time to get used to, and how they work in Kotlin. So I'm going to write for, and then I'm going to use I, and then in, and 0 will be our starting point, like a standard loop, and 11 will be our ending point, which will be the index is of all of these. Okay? And so it will go up to 11. All right. Now, we need to, well, get started pushing these images out to the actual buttons. And that for loop is 11 inclusive. So that's something a bit different as well. Okay, so what do we want to do? Well, first we want to, let's make sure the buttons are set up so we can set the buttons I set background resource, and I am going to do lion. Okay. So let's see what this does for us. I'm going to go ahead and hit run the app. And so I already have some set up. If you don't, you could hit create new device. Obviously, I'm using the Pixel 3. I'm going to hit A for future ones. I need to grab it. And this will take a minute, especially since it's our first time building. She's not one that I wanted. But so it's definitely working. Great, that's what we wanted to see. Let me just restore default layout. Okay, all right. So that's what we wanted to see. Now, let's keep going. Button background. So what I do is I use text in the game, and we will set the text so it's invisible on the buttons to help me understand what each card is in order to match it. It is a much easier method of keeping track of something like this, at least starting off, than it is to ask what the image is and go through all of that. So this seemed pretty straightforward, especially if you're coming from another programming language or you are not in, you have not done as much web design and things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and do buttons, and then I'm going to set the text, all I have to do is text now. You just write text equals, and then I am saying card back. So I know it is the back of the card, and I'm going to use that in just a moment as well. However, now that I've done that, I could go through and set this individually, but since we're already doing a loop and we have the buttons ready to go here, I'm going to do text size like this, and I'm setting the text size to 0. It needs a float, 0, and then F. So, text size is set, text is set as well. Excellent. Now is where we get to the on-click listeners part, which can be really frustrating when you're first starting out in Android Studios. But we want each button to have an on-click listener. And remember, we are looping through every button using this loop. So I'm just going to write buttons I dot set on, where is it? And there we are. And you can just hit tab if you want that automatically, which I do. And it will pop up for us. So set on-click listener. And we don't need, oh no, we won't need those. We just need some curly brackets. So, okay, and now we're going to dive into some if statements. We want to check, well, if the button's text is equal to card back, then we'll turn it over because we know that's the back of the card. So if buttons, so we click a button, and when the person clicks that button, we want it to ask, okay, what side am I on? If I'm equal to card back, if the text equals card back, then we will need an equality operator, and then it's a string, so card back. If it is equal to card back, what am I? Oof, I'm leaving out so much. If it is equal to card back, there we are. If it's equal to the cards back, we want to go ahead and set the background to something else. What do we want to set it to? Well, we are going to want to set the background to set back. I just hit tab and it auto-filled images and then I. And this works because of this. Remember, this image is shuffle, so each time it will shuffle these on its own. So this will work because it is going to, if I'm at button 6, right, or index 6 and image index 6, the image still won't always be the same because every time we play this, it's going to shuffle the locations of these images. Speaking of 6, I only have 6 of these and I have 12 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all these guys and do copy because we need 12. And then I'm going to right click and paste. Okay. And I might just put this on the next line. So there we are. All right. So now we have 12 of those as well. So if that text set image, yes. Let's go ahead and I'm going to just comment that out. And let's see how this is going for us. Credo build finished. Okay, and let's click. Yes, yes. We have working animals. That's awesome. All right, onward. So if we want, well, we'll get to that next actually. All right, now if it's on the, we won't be able to right now turn them back over. So how do we do that? Well, to do that, we're going to use an else if, right? This is some of the more standard programming stuff, not as scary. If the buttons dot text, we're going to do a doesn't equals, a negation operator, in. So if card back is not in the text of the button, if that's not there, then we'll let them flip the card over again. Okay? So card back equals card back. If it does not equal, and it's not going to equal it because we're going to set the text. When they click on it the first time, we're going to change up the text of the button to be equal. I always want to do it the old way. To be equal to the images. Oh, I need set text. The image's file location is what this will turn out to be. So let's see. I'm going to comment this line out, okay? And I want to show you what I mean. So right now it's card back, and now it's drawable monkey PNG, okay? So we'll switch up the text using this method, and then the text is also how we will be matching them eventually. All right. Let's go ahead and stop that. Okay. Now, if it's not card back, what do we want to do? Well, then we can go ahead and set, meaning if it's not the back of the card, because we changed that text when they click on it the first time. So when they click on it the first time, it's going to set the invisible text, because we'll make it invisible again, to the animal location or animal name. Then I click on it, and it will let me flip it once I finish this line, and set background resource. I'm going to hit tab, and I can reset the text to be equal to card back. Speaking of which, I wanted to make it easy to change the back of your card. So I'm using code, I'm going to put up here a variable that will be equal to code, which is just going to be card back. I feel like it makes it more clear anyways. Okay. And now I can use card back. So I'm going to set resource to card back. Okay. And then we want to set the text. And this time we can just use text because we're using a string that we're hard coding in to card back. Okay. And so now we should be able to turn it up, forward, front, and back. Let's give it a shot. Ba-da, ba-da, ba, ba, ba. See? We're getting there. All right. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to get rid of this extra line I did to prove that it was working, and then I'm going to get rid of these comments to hide our text again. All right. So now we need to add a few things. We want to know, one, if there's a match. We also want to prevent the player from looking at like all the cards at once. So to do this, I'm going to use a couple different variables actually. And for one, I'm going to keep track of how many cards they've clicked. Clicked equals 0. Okay. So I want to know that. I want to know if they have 2 cards turned over. And this is a Boolean value, false. And then I'm going to need to know what card they last clicked for matching. Last clicked equals, I'm going to set it to -1. All right. Oh, there we are. Great. So now, how can we know if they've clicked on 2 cards? Inside of this, card back, right? So this is when they flipped it to be face over. So here, I'm going to say clicked plus plus, right? I'm going to iterate, I'm going to add 1 to clicked. And then down in here, else if, this is when we click on it and it changes it back to the card back, to the code image. I'm going to say, well, clicked minus minus. That way I know how many cards are face up. And we could even do something like, okay, so let them turn over. Oh, what is and? I think it's this. Yep. If it's card equals back and clicked is less than, started at 0, 3. So let's give this a try. It should prevent me from turning over all the cards at once, because obviously that's cheating. Oh, and of course it would be 2, because it's going to start at 0. So, but it lets me do 3 right now. So let's fix that and put that at 2. And we're actually going to have a different method for that as well in a second. Now, we need to check for, well, for a match, for a win. So let's write that if statement. It's going to be separated out. So if, and we should only write it, well, we should only check if clicked equals 2, because there's only going to be a match if there's at least 2 cards up. Okay, and then inside our if, we want, this is where turnover comes in. And actually I'm going to skip that part for now. So let's just do our next if. They're nested conditionals. Button I dot text equals buttons last clicked, which we need to set that up, I believe, dot text. And we do. So for last clicked, we're going to put it up here. Above clicked, we want to know, so before we add 1 to click, we want to know if click is equal to 0. Because if clicked equals 0 right now, that means this is the first card they have clicked on, right? And I want to know what that is. If it's equal to 1, we don't want click to be equal to that card because we want to know the last card they clicked on. So if clicked is equal to 0, last clicked equals I. Yep. And so we're getting the index of the card that they just clicked on or that they clicked on last time. And then we're going to compare them down here. Down here, we're now asking, okay, and it will only get that index when clicked is 0. Once it's 1, it's going to skip over this. We're going to know it's 2, and then it will check. So if button I.text, which is our current button we just clicked on, if that text is equal to the last click text, and remember what that text is the location of the image, the directory location, the file location. If those texts are equal, then, well, it's up to us. Then we can do, well, I set it up so you couldn't click on those anymore, right? Because you found them. I just leave the match face up. You get to stare at some adorable animals. You are welcome. So to do that, I did buttons I, and again, we're iterating through all these buttons, is clickable equals false. And now they can't click on it. It won't do anything. It won't add one to our click. There's no response from the on-click listener, which is good. That's what we need. And now we also should, for the other button, make sure they're not clicking on that. That's not adding or taking away from our variables we're using. Is clickable equals false. Great. And then, okay, let's try this out. Let's see what we got. Okay, so this is looking promising. And I can't click. Good. I need to find a match, though. Oh, is that up over here? Ugh. Ooh, camel. And now... But can I turn him over? Oh, I can. Oh, but I have to have 2 up. Okay. Alright, we are getting there. Alright, so what we want to do, though, is when we find a match, is clicked. Let's turn off text. I want to be able to see the text for a little bit more testing. Let's double check that we're on the right path. Alright, so that is looking good. Okay, so we're going to want to start adding some features to make sure that you can only turn over 2 cards at a time and to prevent them from turning over more. And that's what our variable is turn over for. So if clicked is equal to 2, I'm actually going to set turn over to be equal to true. Right? So now they've turned over 2, and I want this to be true. And the reason we're doing this is instead of using clickable up here, I'm going to do and, because what you could do is just turn over 1 card, and then turn over 1, go to the next card, turn over 1. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to have to put both cards face down before they flipped another icon over. So turn over, and this is the negation operator. So if turn over is false, then this will run. Do we need to turn over cards? If not, this will run, right? And what I'm saying by turn over is, I mean, flip them over to see their back, I guess. That could get a bit confusing, but that's what I meant. So if turn over. Now down here, I'm setting turn over to be true because I do not want them. This will prevent them. If this is true and this is false, I do not want them to be flipping over cards unless they're showing the back of the card. All right, so now we want that. However, if there's a match, right? So this is true because I want to force them to turn it over. Because I want to force them to turn it over. And if this is true, this will be false because they need to turn it over. They can't turn over new cards. All right. So, but if there's a match, we're going to leave those cards face up. And what we need to be doing for that is turn over should be equal to false. Oh. And so now they'll be able to flip new cards over, right? They'll be able to flip anything they want over because they have a match and we're leaving it face up. And we're going to reset clicked to 0 because it's essentially like they click 0 since we're leaving those two cards face up, okay? And for this, though, we also need an else if clicked is equal to 0. So turn over is equal to false. So the only way they can flip cards over is if clicked's equal to 0, meaning they flipped over all the cards and are looking at only the back of the cards, or they got a match on 2 of them. Otherwise, they can only have 2 cards up, and once they have 1 card up, they need to flip it back over before we're going to let them turn over any other cards. Once they have 2 cards up, they need to flip them both back over before they can look at any other cards, which is exactly what we need. So let's go through now and see their little warnings and helpful hints and naggings, see what they're thinking about. Set text can now be translated. Use Android resources instead. See what they mean. We can go ahead and do this. Right, they're just going to set us up with, yep, there we go. And that one disappeared. Okay. These are unused. Okay, we can get rid of those. Ben's not happy. Got it. Awesome. Cleaning up the code was easy, I feel like. Let's go ahead and test it out. Run. Hopefully it builds. Gradle build finished. Oh, okay. Yeah, oh yeah. Let's, Okay, and we do need to comment these out, and we'll do that, but let's see. Hopefully... Oh, it's still... Okay, so we cleaned up the code. I wonder if... With how it's working, where does our on-click listener end it? I think we have some problem here. Alright, that must be it. The on-click listener needs to go all the way around all of this stuff, right? When it is clicked, we want to know and we want it to act accordingly. So we need to delete that and put a curly bracket down here. Let's see what this does. This seems promising. Okay, now is it going to still... Aha! There we go. Now it won't let us click more. And, yep, perfect. Just like we were talking about. See, it lets us pick 2, but no more, and I can put 1 down, but nope, you have to put them both down, like memory action. Ooh, we got a match. Now let's see, and we can keep going, and it leaves it up, but we can't go forever. It's still limited to 2. Oh, another match, cool. Oh yeah, I gotta put them both down. Ooh, did I see? Oh yeah, both down. Cool, well let's get rid of this text, and I think we have ourselves a game. So I'm going to uncomment this out. Keep in mind, all of this code is going to be linked in the description with a link to the project itself and a link to the assets I use, such as the images and what. Boom, boom. That's looking great. Lion! I really love the icons too. Wikimedia is great. Ooh. I gotta close them both. I already knew that was a camel. You think I'd be better at this if I've been doing it this much. This is getting embarrassing. Camel. Alright. Ooh, I want to change this font color super fast. But then we have a game ready to rock. So I'm just going to go over to Activity Main, click on this, and I'm actually just going to go ahead into Design. And then, I don't know, it's green, so... The main color is green. Text color. Oh, I might just do something like that. Perfect. We have ourselves a game. So all of the stuff you need is in the description. Hopefully you also create something there went a motorcycle. Hopefully you also create something really, really awesome. And I might continue to build on this, and I'll post a video as I expand on it. You should build something cool and comment below and tell me about it. But for now, I'm going to practice my, my memory. Oh, no, I'm not. Now I'm going to practice my memory skills with adorable animals that we made.